My beloved child, you cannot step into a new life by yourself if you continue to stand outside the source of life that I have opened for you. Just as a branch cannot remain green and flourishing when it is separated from the vine, just as a stream cannot stay pure if it is cut off from the spring at its source, you also cannot be truly renewed if your heart does not abide in me each day. The change I desire to work within you is not an outward garment for others to see and praise. It is a deep, enduring, quiet work where I touch every thought, every wound, every fear, and every old reaction that once held you captive. When you abide in me, my life will seep into you like morning dew soaking into dry ground, softening the places that once grew hardened, bringing light to the places that once were dark, and causing flowers to bloom where you thought there was only wilderness. Look back at yourself, not to condemn yourself, but to recognize that my grace is at work. In the past, a single harsh word could cause your heart to surge like troubled waters. One cold glance was enough to make you withdraw into your pain. One small injustice could make you want to answer with bitterness. But as you learn to remain in my presence, you will see a holy stillness opening within your heart. There, you no longer rush to react from old wounds. You begin to know how to pause, how to breathe in peace, how to place your sorrow in my hands instead of casting it upon others. You will be amazed to find that you can forgive what you once thought you could never forgive, that you can become gentle towards someone who once hurt you, that you can remain silent, not because of resentment, but because your heart has been lifted by me above the storm of pride and pain. Then, when hardship comes, you will also recognize another sign of renewal. In the past, every trial seemed like a great darkness descending, making you panic, making you think you had been abandoned, making you believe every door had closed. But my child, when you abide in me, difficulty is no longer the alarm bell of an ending, but the place where you learn to hear my voice more clearly. You may still cry. You may still grow weary. You may still not understand the whole road ahead. But you will no longer be swept away by fear, like a leaf in a strong wind. You will know how to lift your head, how to whisper to me in the secret place, how to entrust to me the things you cannot control. And then, a peace that does not come from circumstances will cover you, not noisy, not showy, but steady, like the rock beneath the feet of a pilgrim. I also want you to understand that true renewal will free you from the thirst to prove your worth. There were days when you tried to do so much, endure so much, appear strong so much, only hoping to be acknowledged, to be loved, to have someone confirm that you had value. But beloved child, before you ever accomplished anything great, I had already called you my child. Before the world knew your name, I knew you. Before you had achievements, I loved you with an unchanging love. Therefore, you do not need to chase after applause that quickly fades. You do not need to fight for a place in the eyes of others. And you do not need to force yourself to become perfect in order to be worthy of love. When you abide in me, you will live from the place of being loved, no longer living as one begging for love. That is the deep freedom I give to those who choose to shelter themselves beneath my merciful wings. That renewal does not stop within you, because everything that truly comes from me carries a fragrance that spreads. When your heart is healed, your home will be the first place to feel it. Your loved ones will see that you are less harsh, more willing to listen, more able to support instead of merely reacting. Friends who once knew you as someone easily anxious, easily wounded, and easily closed off will gradually see a gentle light in you. Your colleagues will recognize your calmness in confusion, your faithfulness in small things, and your wisdom when others act in haste. You do not need to say much to prove that you have changed. Your life, if it is shaped by me, will become a living testimony on its own. A heart led by peace always has more power to touch others than 1,000 words spoken without love. Remember the story of Elisha's young servant in the city of Dothan. When enemy forces surrounded them on every side, that servant's eyes saw only the horses, chariots, and weapons of the enemy, and his heart trembled because he thought death was standing at the door. But Elisha did not panic, because he was not looking only with natural eyes. He knew he was under the protection of the Most High. And when the servant's eyes were opened, he saw the hills filled with chariots of fire all around them. Beloved child, communion with me does the same thing in your life. It does not always remove the enemy from before your eyes immediately, but it opens your eyes to see that you are not alone. It does not always make the road smooth at once, but it lets you know that a holy power is covering you, preserving you, and leading you through places you thought you could never pass through. From abiding in me, you will also be given the ability to recognize what belongs to truth and what is merely a trap covered in false beauty. The world will not stop calling you with many different voices: the voice of ambition, the voice of wounded pride, the voice of comparison, the voice of things that seem sweet, but leave bitterness behind in the end. If you are far from me, you will easily confuse true light with false light, easily mistake haste for opportunity, easily see compromise as wisdom. But when you draw near to me, your heart will become more sensitive. You will hear the gentle reminder within when a path is not meant for you. You will feel a holy unease when you stand before something that appears right but is not pure. You will realize that not every open door comes from me, and not every road traveled by the crowd is the road that leads to life. Beloved child, do not be discouraged if renewal within you does not happen like a flash of lightning, because many of my most beautiful works grow in silence. A seed does not sprout with noise, and the dawn does not need to hurry, yet it still pushes back the night. You only need to abide in me. Return to me whenever you lose your way. Open your heart to me whenever you are weak, and allow me to continue doing what you cannot do by yourself. Then the day will come when you look back and realize that your reactions have changed. Your faith has grown deeper. Your eyes have become gentler, and your steps have become steadier, not because you made yourself strong, but because you allowed my life to flow through you. And as you continue to abide in me, your life will become a garden tended by the Father's hand, where peace grows, hope gives off its fragrance, love bears fruit, and the gentle light of heaven is reflected through each day you live. You once thought you were only enduring, only trying to get through each hour in exhaustion. But I tell you that not one moment is wasted before me. I saw the nights when you could not sleep, the times when you sat in silence while your heart felt like a rain that would not stop, the words you spoke to me even when your lips trembled quietly in silence. There were tears no one witnessed, but I saw them. There were pains you could not name, but I understood them. There were battles you told no one about, but heaven knew how faithfully you endured. So do not view your former journey as a land filled only with loss. Under my hand, even the ground once torn open by suffering can become fertile soil for a new season. What you thought was ashes, I can turn into ground where flowers bloom. What you thought was an ending, I can use as the beginning of a more radiant chapter. Therefore, my child, do not despise the days you had to pass through. It was there that your heart was trained to become softer. Your faith was deepened, and your vision was widened. You learned how to rise when no one was there to lift you, how to pray when the answer had not yet come, how to hold on to goodness when circumstances wanted to make you bitter. Every time you struggled yet kept walking, every time you chose not to let go of me, Every time you silently placed your pain in my care, all of it is being gathered into a holy testimony. The day will come when you understand that you were not only rescued from what wounded you, but also prepared to become stronger, more mature, and clearer than the person you once were. I did not merely bring you out of captivity, I also taught you how to walk as one who is free. Remember the story of Joseph, the one who was sold by his own brothers, torn away from the arms of his family, taken to a strange land, and made to pass through years that seemed forgotten to natural eyes. Joseph's life had seasons that seemed broken by betrayal and injustice, but I was quietly weaving a path that human beings could not foresee. In the pit, I was still there. In the house of a stranger, I was still there. In the dark prison, I was still there. And at the appointed time, what seemed shameful became the step that lifted him into a position where he could save many people. My child, that story is also a gentle reminder for you. Not everyone who hurts you can destroy the plan I have for you. A closed door is not always a final period. Years of delay are not abandonment. There are things I allow you to pass through not to lower you, but to prepare you for a place you would not yet have been strong enough to enter without being trained in hidden places. Therefore, from today on, do not let the past continue to write your name with the ink of pain. You are not the one who was betrayed. You are the one I preserved after betrayal. You are not the one who was left behind. You are the one I led onto another path. You are not the one marked by failure. You are the one carrying evidence of grace. When you look back, look with eyes that have been healed, so you can see that what once made you cry can now become a source of wisdom. What once made you tremble can now become the place where you learn to rely on me. What once made you think you were broken can now become the vessel I restore to hold the fragrant oil of peace. No hand can steal the new identity I have given you, because what I have placed upon you is not built on the praise of people, nor can it collapse because of their rejection. Learn to walk forward like one who has been called by name into the light. Do not keep turning your head toward the door that is closed, because while you are grieving what is old, I am opening new doors that you have not yet recognized. Do not allow old lies to whisper that you are unworthy, not good enough, or unable to begin again. I speak to you with the love of a father. You can begin again, not because you have never been hurt, but because I am greater than all your pain. You can love again with a purer love, not because you have forgotten every wound, but because I teach you not to let wounds become walls. You can trust again, dream again, live again, and walk again, because the life I have placed within you is stronger than the things that once tried to make you wither. And as you enter this new chapter, carry gratitude instead of the burden of resentment. Gratitude does not mean calling what was painful good. Gratitude means recognizing that I can still bring goodness out of that place of pain. You do not need to deny what you went through, nor do you need to pretend that it never hurt you. I do not ask you to hide your wounds before me. I only invite you to entrust them to me, so I can turn the cracked places into places where light can shine through. Those who have been wounded yet still choose love carry within them a profound beauty. Those who have passed through a long night yet still keep faith become a lamp for others in their own darkness. So it will be with you. I will use the very thing you thought was weakness to create a gentleness that has the power to lift many people. Now let your heart rest in this truth. You are standing in the light, and that light was not lit by your own hand, but placed around you by me. You are free, and that freedom is not merely leaving a circumstance behind, but escaping the power of the things that once falsely defined you. You are stepping into a new identity, where you no longer live as one who must beg to be acknowledged, but as one who is loved from the beginning. From this place, you will continue writing your life with steadier faith, truer love, and a peace that is not easily shaken. Your new chapter will not be written with fear, but with grace, not with bitterness, but with forgiveness, not with shame, but with the dignity I have restored. Beloved child, stand upright. Let what is past remain in my hands. Step forward, slowly but steadily, because I do not only go before you to open the way, I also walk beside you to strengthen you. And I walk behind you to guard the things you no longer have the strength to carry. On the road ahead there will be sunny days and rainy days, but you are no longer the old person walking in loneliness. You are my child, called out of darkness, clothed in freedom, and led into a new season. Live as one who has been restored, love as one who has been healed, believe as one who knows that the Father's hand has never let you go. And as you continue to walk, your life will become a gentle song of my faithfulness, a living testimony that everything once shattered in your hands can still be gathered by me, sanctified, and turned into lasting blessing. My beloved child, when the things you once held have gradually slipped from your hands, when the ties that seemed strong have quietly broken, when you have had to learn how to stand in empty spaces without leaning on what was familiar, I want you to hear this deeply. In me, you have lost nothing that belongs to true life. There are things that leave you not because you have been forgotten, but because I am freeing you from places that no longer nourish you. There are doors that close not to imprison you in darkness, but to keep you from continuing to enter a room whose season of grace has ended. There are people who leave not to prove that you are unworthy of love, but so I can teach you that the most enduring love does not come from the changing hands of human beings, but from my arms that never withdraw. You may have cried over what disappeared, but I saw behind that loss a wider sky that you had not yet recognized. Do not be quick to call the days of letting go wasted, my child, because in the place where you thought there was only pain, I was quietly doing a holy work. I was sifting out old fears, silent dependencies, and voices that made you forget your dignity. I allowed you to pass through emptiness, not to make you lonely, but so you would learn to recognize my presence more clearly than every other sound. When the room of your heart became quiet, you could hear my gentle voice calling you home. When temporary supports were gone, you learned that I am the unshakable rock beneath your feet. When your heart was no longer filled with things that exhausted you, I could pour into it pure peace, new joy, and the courage to keep moving forward. I saw you in the long nights no one knew about. I saw you trying to appear normal in front of others, while inside you there was a whole region of rain that had not ceased. I saw the many times you wanted to return to the old thing, simply because loneliness felt too heavy. Times you wanted to grasp a hand that was no longer meant for you, because you were afraid of walking alone. But I also saw something more beautiful. You still chose to believe. You still lifted your weary eyes toward me. You still whispered in the secret place that you did not understand. But you wanted to trust. That trust is more precious than grand words, because it was offered from the place where you were hurting, and yet still did not turn away from me. Know this, not one of your tears has fallen and been forgotten. Not one of your sighs has dissolved into emptiness. Not one time you tried to stand again has been overlooked by heaven. All of it is being kept by me, purified by me, and turned into gentle strength for the season you are about to enter. At times you thought letting go was the end, but I tell you that letting go is only a threshold. I am not only calling you out of the old, I am also calling you into the new. I am not only removing the cords that wounded you, I am also preparing healthier, purer, and more enduring connections. I am not only clearing your hands, I also want to place in them blessings you can hold without being harmed. Relationships you can walk with without losing yourself. and support from people who know how to love with maturity and reverence for me. Do not close your heart because of what is past. Old wounds can teach you wisdom, but they must not be allowed to turn you into a locked garden. I am tending to you so you can open again, not as naive as before, but pure, steadier, and more discerning. Remember the story of Ruth, the woman who passed through a season of deep loss. She left her homeland, lost her husband, and stood before an uncertain future with her mother-in-law in poverty. To naturalize, Ruth seemed like someone who had lost the very foundation of her life. But in that emptiness, she still chose faithfulness, still walked in humility, and still sowed small actions with an upright heart. She did not know that her quiet steps in the field where she gleaned grain were leading her toward a beautiful arrangement. I opened the way through the simplest things, through a field, through a man who knew compassion, through a day that seemed very ordinary. From one who seemed left on the margins, Ruth was brought into a line of blessing greater than anything she had dreamed. Do you see? My child, loss in my hands is not a deep pit that buries hope. It can become the road that leads to a restoration you cannot yet imagine. So, do not fear the new season, just because the old season hurt you. Do not think every relationship will leave simply because someone once left you. Do not think every promise is fragile simply because one promise was broken. I am teaching you to distinguish between what is allowed to pass through your life for a season and what I appoint to walk with you in maturity. Some people come only to reveal what needs to be healed in you. Some circumstances come only to train you to stand firm. Some silences come only to make room for a new calling. But then, at the right time, I will bring into your life people who do not pull you away from the light, but help you move closer to life. They will not make you beg for your worth. They will not love you through control or exhaust you with invisible demands. They will know how to support, how to intercede, how to encourage, and how to help you guard what is good. Listen, my child. The loneliness of the past season is not a sentence against you. It is ground being cleared so I can build a new community around you. You will not walk forever alone through cold, empty corridors. I know you need warm voices, sincere hands, hearts that know how to listen, and people who can rejoice with you on bright days and pray with you on rainy days. I am preparing this, not loudly, not hastily, but surely. You may not yet see it all, but every meeting ahead, every door I open, every timely encouragement, every person placed along your journey will carry the mark of my providence. You only need to keep your heart tender and not allow old pain to become suspicion toward every new blessing. The day will come when you look back and understand why certain things had to move away from you. You will see that what you once regretted was actually not wide enough to hold the person I am making new within you. You will realize that some losses saved you from narrow roads. Some breakings kept you from dependency. Some lonely seasons taught you to love yourself in my sight. And some goodbyes led you to healthier hellos. Then your heart will no longer remember the past only with tears, but with deep gratitude. Not because the painful thing was good in itself, but because I stepped into that pain and turned it into a place where blessing could begin. I know you have gone through seasons of hiding, seasons of learning in silence, seasons of enduring lessons others could not see. At times, you wondered why I had not yet opened the door, why you had to wait so long, why the things you carried in your heart had not yet been used. But my child, I never allow your preparation to become useless. I trained you in hidden places so that when you step into a wider place, the light will not make you proud. I allowed you to taste weakness so you would know how to have compassion for the weak. I allowed you to pass through moments when you nearly fell so you would not look down on those who are learning to stand again. I allowed you to learn discernment between what is true and what is false, between the call that comes from me and the call that comes from fleeting desire, so that when you have influence, you will not lead others onto the wrong path. When I place you in a position where you can affect others, remember that every word you speak can become a key that opens hope, or it can become a burden laid upon a weary heart. Therefore, let your lips be cleansed with kindness. Do not use influence to make others feel small, but use it to call them back to the dignity I placed within them. Do not enter a high place with a heart that wants to rule through hardness, but enter it as a shepherd who knows the scent of the flock, who knows when to lead, when to bind wounds, and when to remain quietly beside someone. There will be people who come to you not because they need a grand speech, but because they need to see in you a life that has been touched by me, a peace real enough for them to believe they too can be restored. Remember the story of Nehemiah, the one who did not seek fame for himself, but carried in his heart the grief of a ruined city. When he heard that the walls of Jerusalem had been broken down, he did not merely become sad and stop there. He brought that burden before me, waited for the appointed time, and then rose with wisdom and courage. I placed him near the king's throne, not so he could simply live safely in the palace, but so that at the right time, he could ask for what was needed to rebuild what had fallen. He knew how to organize, how to encourage, how to face opposition, how to place people in the right positions, and how to build while keeping watch. Do you see? Nehemiah's elevation was not for him to be praised, but so that a people could find hope again. A city marked by shame could be restored, and weary hands could be gathered again into a holy purpose. In the same way, I will give you new wisdom for the new season. In the former season, you learned how to avoid traps covered with sweet words. You learned how to step back when something was not pure. You learned how to guard your heart from ties that drained you. But the coming season requires more from you than self-protection. I will teach you how to build. I will show you how to lead without imposing, how to correct without wounding, how to open a way without taking the glory, how to stand firm under pressure while still keeping a tender heart. That wisdom is not human cleverness, nor is it strategy meant to triumph over others. It is my light shining into each decision, so you know when to speak, when to be silent, when to move forward, and when to wait. There are ideas I will place within you when you think you are only being still. There are directions that will come to you when you kneel in the private place, when no one applauds and no one knows you are seeking me. There are strategies you will receive in the midst of very ordinary tasks, like dew falling on a field at dawn. You will realize that your natural understanding is not enough to create these things. You will know there is a gentle hand arranging, a hidden voice leading you, and a source of light opening paths you had never thought of before. When you do not try to seize a position, I will place you in the right place. When you do not try to display yourself, I will cause what I have placed in you to be seen at the right time. When you are faithful in the small portion, I will entrust you with the wider portion your heart has been prepared to carry. Even so, beloved child, always keep yourself in humility, because influence, if it is not placed under my guidance, can become a mirror in which you see only yourself. Do not let praise make you forget the source of grace. Do not let success draw you away from the place of prayer. Do not let many people coming to you cause you to stop coming to me. A high place will not make you stumble if your heart still knows how to kneel. Expansion will not make you lose your way if you still allow me to hold the steering wheel of your life. The more you are entrusted with, the more simple-hearted you must become before me. The more your voice is heard, the more careful you must be that it carries the fragrance of truth and mercy. When others look up to you, gently point them back to me. because you are only the lamp. The source of light belongs to me. I will bring around you people who need to be lifted up, but I will also give you endurance, so you do not grow weary in doing good. You are not called to carry every destiny in your own strength, but to serve in communion with me. There will be times when you must encourage the faint-hearted. There will be times when you must stand up for those who have no voice. There will be times when you must speak a timely word to pull someone back from the edge of despair. There will be times when you only need to be gently present, so a wounded person knows they have not been abandoned. Each of these actions, however small they may seem in the eyes of the world, has value before me if it is done with pure love. Do not underestimate meetings that seem accidental, because I can use one word from you to change the direction of a day, a season, or even an entire life. My child, the new season is not only a season in which you receive, but also a season in which you distribute what I have sown into you. The peace I give is not only for you to keep for yourself, but so that through you, others may know that they too can rest. The healing I work in you is not only a personal story, but will become cool water for those who are dry and weary. The wisdom I place within you is not so you can feel greater than others, but so you can become more useful in my hands. The closer you live to me, the purer your influence becomes. The more you love truth, the steadier your steps become. The more humble you are, the more I can entrust to you. So prepare your heart. Beloved child, do not fear responsibility, because I do not send you without walking with you. Do not fear influence, because I will teach you how to carry it with shoulders supported by grace. Do not fear things beyond your ability, because it is precisely there that you will see my power move more clearly. When you sit still, I will instruct you. When you step forward, I will open the way. When you grow weary, I will give you strength. When you need words, I will place gentleness and wisdom in your mouth. Enter this season of being sent not with pride, but with reverence, not with personal ambition, but with servant-hearted love, not with your own strength, but with dependence on me. And then your life will not only be lifted up, but will also become a place where many others are lifted, enlightened, restored, and led closer to the source of life I prepared for them from the beginning.